Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming by and joining us for a chat here on Philosopher King Podcast, episode 31. So, of course, just a little announcement here. Of course, remember to check out phoneboothpodcast.substack.com and all the wonderful podcasts that are there. You guys will recognize the guest for this evening. She's been on the podcast a couple of times, and we were talking offline and just kind of sharing talking about some of the dynamics that we see between a lot of male influencers like the Andrew Tates of the world, and then a lot of other female influencers who are representing and or misrepresenting relationships and the dynamics therein. In a wide variety of ways. And so we thought it'd be fun to kind of get together and talk with you guys about it, and share some ideas and thoughts, and also hear your thoughts. So don't be shy in the chat. But without further ado, of course, welcome BlueMontauk, Jen. It's good to have
Hello,
you
Jonah.
back.
Thank you. Great to
Welcome.
be back. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much. The idea of relationships is such a broad. I mean, we could literally we'd be challenged to miss the broadside of a barn with this one, right? In terms of all the different things we could talk about and the different nuances. But it seems that in our digital age today, this online dating and dating through apps has put a different venue, so to speak, or a different ambient for the age old instinctive interactions and desires of men and women, which are not the same, right? So I think it'd be cool to start by talking about, I'd love to hear your perspective, and we could start to talk about male and female differences in what we look for in a relationship and how we're satisfied and or not, and then kind of apply that and transition and then consider how the dating world affects that in a positive or negative way. What do you think?
I think that sounds great.
Good.
And yeah, so and most people know who follow me know that I'm a total hermit. So when it comes to dating, it's like it's going to be online like at first, right? It's going to come from some sort of social place pretty much. I hardly ever leave my house except to go to work. So that's likely where I'm interacting in the dating world. And also, like, yeah, the year that we live in, that's just what people do. They're swiping now, right? Or they're interacting in some other format where something like that is happening. And so, being the age that I am, I'm 51. Um, and I know you're just so much younger than me, Jonah, but you're getting up there too. But we've had our fair share of dating, and it's just the world we live in. And sometimes we
Yeah.
have these conversations with people where we end up saying something like, "Oh my God, I hate online dating. It sucks. It's like a cesspool of bacteria, and it's terrible." And it's all true. We're like, "I'm never doing that again." But inevitably, we just have to because again, that's either you do that or you just don't date. So those are your only options. But I have found that in doing that, yes, what happens with I'm holding my phone up, guys, because actually I'm logged in through my phone talking because we had some technical difficulties. So you'll notice I'm trying to keep the phone close so you guys can hear me. Um, in doing that, like, yeah, I think the way that men interact on dating apps, just from the female perspective, like we have so much to kind of quote unquote complain about. But I'm sure you guys have so much to complain about too, because I'm sure that we are doing things that it's highly annoying and you guys are probably just throwing in like all the tries and feeling like we're just swipe, swipe, swipe. So yeah, good times out here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Our experiences, male versus female in the dating world, are very, very different. Very
Hmm.
different when it comes to online, right? Um, and it's interesting. Okay, so taking a step back from the dating world for a second, because I want to have a lens or a perspective of what our nature is and what we look for instinctively, and then we can kind of take a look at it and examine how well efficiently or inefficiently the dating world online dating world serves us in finding our natural pair, so to speak, right? So
Okay.
I want to ask you first, and I'll tell you what so I think it'll be fun. All right. If I'd like to
Okay.
hear from your perspective what you think men desire or look for in a woman.
Okay.
And I'll share with you what I believe in my understanding from an anthropological position, right?
Right.
What I think instinctively women are drawn to.
Sure. And I'll just caveat this by saying two things. Like, number one, obviously, I'm not trying to speak for every woman, and I know you're not trying to speak for every man, but I'll also caveat this by saying that I know both of us are very old fashioned, so to speak, and I'll like define what that means, at least for me. Like, I look for a very alpha man. I'm very old fashioned in that way. So I'm not out here looking for, you know, a flake, right? For lack of a better term. I like to be hunted. And so from my perspective, when I'm looking for a man, I'm actually not looking for a man. Maybe I'll phrase it that way. I'm looking for a man
Yeah.
who's looking for me, right? So I'm hermiting, and
You're
I enjoy being, I guess for lack of a better term, hunted, right? So that's I'm over here in my house waiting for a knight in shining armor to just knock on my door and know that I exist. So that's, I don't know if it is funny, but I guess
being
that's my
pursued.
instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's my instinct is like, well, yeah, hopefully he'll just come find me, and he exists. And so when I say that, I think what is a man looking for in a woman? The feedback and the things that I've seen are, and hi everyone, I see the comments coming in. Thank you for joining, by the way.
Yeah.
First
Evening
and
Dead Game,
foremost.
Evening Infinite, and Evening Peace Gen. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And thank you for the
Yes.
repost, Peace Gen.
Yeah, thank you.
Please feel free, by the way, folks, if you guys have a
Mhm.
question or a comment on what we're talking about, which may be somewhat spicy or controversial, given that
Anything, yeah, obviously.
everybody has a strong opinion about this, right? And I would gander that
Mhm.
our opinions are not the same on this in certain key areas, but
Right.
we have intentionally, folks, intentionally in our pre-show conversation, we kept a lot of particulars off the table,
Mhm.
understanding that we would have some differences, just so that you can all experience the conversation very naturally of what shows its head as a difference. So,
Exactly.
so you were saying,
So, okay, I think of what it was I say. So, I think what men that the feedback that I've gotten from what I talked to with other women who are looking for likewise like men is that they look for a woman who is submissive, feminine, and also respectful. My impression from from men is that they need to be respected, and if they lose respect for you, then they kind of check out. And so I think that that's what they're looking for, and I also think that they're looking for peace. Like, if they find a peace with you, that they can trust that they can be around with you and maintain their peacefulness, um, and just, like, feel that, like, softness and peace with you, then that's, like, a welcoming feeling with them. I'd say that's in general what I think they're looking for.
yeah, I would 100% agree with you that that most men will have peace as the number one.
Okay.
And then how men mostly feel love is when we feel respected and trusted. Um, yeah. So, and I think you're spot on there. From my perspective and my understanding of the male instinct and drive. That's not only what I look for, but that's also I think what a lot of men in my conversation and understanding. That's what a lot of men look for and value. Concur, add trust. And I did before that comment came through. There you go, Dead Game. Look at that same page. Same blue.
Okay.
See, ladies? See, ladies? Respect and trust
Okay. Okay,
and
awesome.
peace. That's it.
Okay.
So, um, I have a funny. I did some research in the field, if you will,
Field
over the weekend
research.
in
Oh,
preparation.
please share.
So I was before we move on to what men perceive women wanting. I want to stay on this about what women think men want
Okay, perfect.
versus
Mhm.
what they actually want. Because your perspective and understanding of what men want
Mhm.
shows to me, it shows your maturity in the space, in the sense that you actually have taken the time to understand men. I think a lot
Okay.
of women, some of the responses I got in my research in the field as I was asking different, some of them complete strangers, some of them I knew somewhat, but not super
Mhm.
well. A lot of times women think that men want someone who's funny and can make them laugh.
Mhm. Which is
That's
true.
what that
I mean, that's great.
they they well, but I know that women want that in men, but men don't
Mhm.
care.
Okay.
We would rather make you laugh than you be funny and make
Mhm.
us laugh. I think that's
Right,
dead
right.
game. Confirm or deny, dead game.
Okay.
um, but
Alright.
then I had one lady tell me,
Mhm.
and she's a good lady. She's a good woman. She's a serious person. She's not a flighty, like a shallow person. She's a person of substance. But she said to me that she believes that men look for someone who's financially stable, who won't need to depend on them, but will choose to depend on them.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again? Women want
So,
men who are I'm sorry, men want women who are financially stable, but will choose to depend on them?
correct. So they can make their own money and
Hmm.
not need to depend on them, but will choose to depend on them, which I thought was an interesting little nuance there. Um, again,
I'll
just
reserve my comments till you finish
right. But
your
then just to be
research.
clear
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
everyone listening, I'm
Mhm.
I'm sharing with you ideas that I've heard from other women other than Jen about what their perception of what we want is, which
Okay.
contradicts what Jen just said, what you just said, Jen, about what men want.
Uh-huh.
So and then what was the other big one? Um to be able to make her own decisions, he wants a man wants a woman who can make her own decisions and doesn't need him to make decisions for her.
Yikes. Who did
Um,
you do this research with?
that I,
Was this an actual woman, Jonah? I just have to
she has 3 children. I hope she's a
Okay,
she's a.
okay.
I'm sure she's not a tranny if that's what you're
I
asking.
have to ask.
But I mean, I hear,
Oh,
I've heard a lot of women. If you watch all the podcasts, like the Whatever
mhm.
podcast, I watch little
Right.
snippets here and there.
Mhm.
I can't do a lot of it.
Mhm.
Same with like other women on street interviews or other little YouTube shorts like
Mhm.
that are all the rage all over the place. A lot of times they'll say, yeah, well, men are attracted to a successful woman, a career woman. That's a big one. Oh, a career woman who's made it in her career and established, etc. What's
Mhm.
up, Cram? Um,
Okay.
so that to me is all projection. So now I'm
Mhm.
now to share what men like that. Obviously, from our conversation earlier, men want peace and respect more than anything else. And in fact,
Mhm.
I think most men would prefer a woman who's a barista at Starbucks
Mhm.
over the CEO, the C-suite businesswoman, because the
Mhm.
characters and the qualities of the person that you need to develop and the habits that you need to build to be a successful career woman, to outmaneuver and get that major promotion before the 15 other corporate dudes who are spending 80 hours a week trying to get that position.
Right.
There's a lot of feminine qualities that you have to give up and a lot of masculine qualities
Mhm.
of taking charge that don't make for a good housewife, don't make for a good mother, don't make for a
Right.
good companion if you're at all an alpha. And I know you said the phrase alpha earlier,
Mhm.
referring to men as something that is desirable.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that a little bit more and see what exactly you mean by that.
Okay. I would love to, but before I do, I just wanna I know we're gonna be like it's gonna be like a spider web conversation here. We're gonna
Yeah.
go all over the map. But so I will say that I deliberately leave off of my dating profiles that I'm a lawyer. I don't say that. I say like I work in a law office or something like that. I don't even talk about it when I get to know men right off the bat because I feel like, first of all, I don't think men care what women do for work. I don't find that they ask it out of a nicety almost, and they forget. But it will come up later, and then they'll be like, "Oh, well, you didn't tell me that." And sometimes it does come off as like, I don't. It's not. I don't want to say it's intimidating, but they might wonder, if I'm going to be aggressive or something because they see lawyers as like an aggressive type of field or something. And so I don't want to have that conversation or they assume that I am that kind of person, right? So I intentionally leave
Yeah.
that up.
Well,
My feedback is that men really don't give a rat's ass what you do for a living as long as you
no,
just are like a hardworking person and
not
like
even.
that's it. Yeah, I know. So I have
Not
to
even.
disagree with that field research that you pulled in, right? Nothing I've
Yeah.
ever done in my life has been, like, that important to a man unless it's, like, something like, they just wanna make sure that you're not out there doing something that
Yeah.
maybe would abut against their
Yeah.
morality or something, right? So,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just wanted to look at the comments
Yeah.
here,
So, yep. Dead Game says, I've had to meet them first to see what they're all about. I've looked straight to their head. Rest is
mhm,
superficial dice. Infinite
yeah,
Truth says this woman wants trust, honesty, loyalty, and fidelity because that's what I'm
mhm,
going to give unconditionally. Right?
okay.
Yeah.
And the other
So,
comment I was gonna make is about the finances before you move on. So,
hmm
again, I have never had a man, like, want me to be, like, financially stable or not stable, but you know what I mean? Like, if like, look at me and say, "Oh, I wanna make sure that you've got your shit together financially before I date you." Those questions don't even come up. As a matter of fact, whether I'm good financially, whether I'm not so good financially, whatever my situation is, has never been an issue for a man, ever. He's more asking about, other kinds of things about me, and maybe we haven't talked about what you think, you know, your side about, looking at, into, what you're looking for in a woman, or what men looking for in a woman, but that's just never been an issue at all. So, I have to go against what that person said as well about finances.
yeah, yeah. And what's interesting actually is okay. So, well, before we get into more into the weeds here,
Okay.
the other half of the question, because the first question I posed was, I wanted you to tell me what you think men
Men are
are
looking
looking
for it.
for,
Right,
and
right.
I'm going to tell you what I think women are looking for. And
Okay.
I think, yes, so I think women are looking for someone that they can feel safe with,
Mhm,
almost maybe even primarily safe from a financial standpoint. So for that reason, they look for financial stability.
mhm,
From an emotional standpoint, so they look for someone who holds frame, who's not doesn't flip into a rage, doesn't isn't like out of control emotionally. Although that's not as important as stable financially, because I think a lot of times women are why women are attracted to the bad boy, so to speak, the guy who gets in fights with everybody at the bar, the guy who doesn't follow the law and things. It's because he has a don't fuck with me attitude, and if nobody else is going to mess with him, and she's his girl, then nobody else is going to mess with her either because of him. Even
mhm,
if he doesn't treat her well at home, she feels safe from the rest of the world as long as she's his.
mhm.
So, I mean, we're kind of leaning into the disorder, like a more of an extreme scenario, but just to
Right.
kind of paint the picture of my understanding is like how primal that is for women to feel safe. Um,
Mhm.
I have kind of an interesting story about that, which I can share later. But um, I think those are that's the primary one, is feeling safe. And I heard once someone say, and it resonates very true to me, men identify with their principles, women
Mhm.
identify with their feelings. So, how a
Mhm.
woman feels in a relationship is more important to her than anything else. How a man feels that his principles are respected
Mhm.
matters more to him than anything else in a relationship.
I think
Uh,
those are good points. There's a clip that maybe you could play. I posted this actually,
hmm
but um, it's talking about how um, women. I can't remember the way the guy phrased it, but you could play it. But men. have to make a woman feel loved, and or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you posted it. I don't remember, but it's in all the clips we've
Mm-hmm.
saved for today. But and then he has to like let me pull it up because I'm gonna watch this. But yeah, what you said about um women being emotional driven in that way, that she has to feel wanted and loved. That's
Mm-hmm.
huge. That's huge for her. And yeah, he needs to feel respected, and his principles need to be admired. But once men kind of realize that, I think, um, even from like the get go, and this is like before you even like reach out to a woman, and all the way into like the whole dating life afterward, because, and this is probably a point I should make from from the outset. So whether a woman is just a looking for a one night stand, whether a woman is looking for one night stand or a forever partner, she's always going to be looking for these qualities in a man.
Mm-hmm.
Always. For men, I think that's very different because a man can see a woman as like a one night stand woman versus like a long term partner. But a woman is always going to be looking for those qualities in a man to feel safe, like you said,
Right.
protected and wanted and loved. And like she's not going to do anything with you from A to Z unless she has those boxes ticked off.
Right. Right.
Let me see if I
Um,
can find this.
some of the
'Cause
comments here,
I would
Dead
like
Game
you to
says,
play this.
never an excuse for that. I think
Mhm,
Dead Game, you're referring to the abusive relationship that I just mentioned. Yeah, I wasn't saying there was an excuse for that. I was just trying to explain. I was trying to show that that was an evident that was a sign that of the woman's instinct to even stay in a dysfunctional relationship, where she's mistreated, as
mhm,
long as she feels safe from everybody else. That's how much
right.
safety is a part of there, because they'll even trade their temporary happiness in order to feel safe.
I just
Was my
highlighted it,
point.
Jonah,
Okay, perfect.
if you could play that. It's really short.
Let's see. Infinite says money means nothing, and then also said if a woman is single, she can support herself, of course. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it's not about whether it's right or wrong to support yourself, right? It's just, what does man find attractive? What does he desire? And actually, historically, the reason why fathers walk their daughters down the aisle is because, well, a woman never supported herself. She helped out around the house. She helped her mom. She helped cook. She helped take care of the kids or the livestock. Like, she was a helpmate, but she was never supposed to be self sufficient. And it was her father's duty to protect her until she was married. And then he literally walked her down the aisle and handed the obligation of protection over to
Mhm.
his new son in law. So
Who said this? I think it was maybe Marilyn Monroe, maybe not, but said that a woman can do anything a man can do. She shouldn't have to, and that's something that we can talk about too more later. But she wants to feel that relief, right? That she doesn't want to have to do those things for herself. She wants the man to. And again, I'm talking from like the old fashioned standpoint that I feel, and I want that man to unburden me. I don't want to feel that I want to have to do all these things for myself. Yes, I'm a single lady. Yes, I enjoy my own company, and I pretty much don't date very much. I hermit all the time, like I said, but I that's for a reason. Like I'm totally happy with myself and content, and I can do everything for myself. But I would love for some guy eventually to unburden me and relieve me of all of those things that I don't want to do for myself, right?
Well, and I know you say that it's very traditional minded, but I would contend
Mhm,
that it's instinctive. So tradition had a better, were more in touch with their instincts and lived and built
mhm,
society around those male and female instincts. Whereas right now, the burden is put on women to be men in the workplace. To
mm.
have a 9 to 5, to serve a stranger, another man,
Yeah,
rather than to serve her husband.
right.
So it's just unfortunate how our culture is built around feminist principles a lot of times, I think. Because
Mhm,
I think what you identify as traditional values are actually traditional for a reason. It's how we're wired. Um,
mhm,
one of the things I'll never forget, and it changed actually how I from my my youth in some earlier relationships, it changed how I interact with well, with women in general, but especially with my person. Um, is like there was a seminar. Allison Armstrong is wonderful, and
Yeah.
she has an incredible body of work on helping men and women understand each other, and very very insightful.
Mhm.
So if you don't, for anybody watching, if you don't haven't had any exposure to Allison Armstrong, she's fantastic.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things, she had a seminar for couples, and she's like, okay, uh, gentlemen, everyone raise your hand. Okay, drop your hands if you felt physically threatened and afraid for your life in the last 3 months, and maybe like two hands dropped. In the last year, maybe a few more hands dropped. In the last 5 years, several more hands dropped. Now we've got like half the hands up. In the last 10 years, a number of other hands fell, but there were still some hands up that saying they hadn't felt a physical threat to their safety in the last 10 years, right? And she's like, okay, look around the room. All right. Now, ladies, put your hands up. Raise your, put your hand down if you have, or keep your hand up if you've felt afraid for your safety in the last week. Everyone kept their hand up. In the last 4 days, a few put their hands down. In the last 2 days, more. And anyway, so there was, even within the last 24 hours, there was still about 5 or 6 women with their hands up. And her point there was profound to me, that women
Mm.
instinctively and physiologically experience and know that they're the weaker sex physically. And that if a man of any kind, of any shape, of any size wanted to have his way or to force you to do something,
Mm.
they could. And like that's instinctively known. It's not an rational argument. It's just instinctively known. I agree, Dead Game. It is sad. But what's interesting is in my in as a high school guy, right? Like going through high school and college, I remember like if and even up till even recently, like the way that we Dead Game, correct me if I'm wrong, the way that we work with each other is we go toe to toe. If a man gets in my face and raises his voice, I match his volume, match his intensity. That's how I stand my ground. I go toe to toe, volume for volume, eye to eye, and we resolve what we're dealing with. But if I do that instinctively, because I was used to doing that with guys in some relationships, I would match volume. And it was my way of, no, I'm standing my ground. But it's the wrong way to go about it, because the response in the woman is one of fear
Mhm.
and and unsafety, which puts a divide, rather than one that's conducive to actually understanding in the relationship. And so, like, after I heard that, one change that I made in my own relationships is like, even when I was engaged a few years ago, if I had to call, I wouldn't call, even yell across the house. If she was in her bedroom and I was asking her, I needed to ask her a question, I would cross the house, go to the door of her room, and ask her in a normal voice the question I needed answered. Right. And I think that just little things like that are really helpful, because we are so much like, even just our blood constitution is different. Like, because of the number of blood cells we have, red blood cells we have, we can, even if we're the same pound for pound strength as a woman, for example, let's say it's a small guy and a bodybuilder woman, the explosive power and energy because of our blood makeup is much more, even if the muscles are otherwise similar in strength. So, anyways,
I think this goes back to
see,
what you were talking about before, which is what do you mean by alpha? And I
mm-hmm,
think Dead Game made a comment like he hasn't heard that term in a while. Like, so what
mm-hmm.
exactly does that mean, right? So yeah, if I was dating a liberal, I which I would never do. But I'm just saying that things would be a little different. But I've already like completed that. Yeah, that's right, Dead Game. So I've already vetted that person out, right? Till I get to the point where like I already know that this person is before I ever get to a date, like I've completed the vetting process and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
weaned out that person and they are like quote unquote alpha. So what does that mean to me when I say that term? That means that I already know by the time I've got to this date, right, that this person is very masculine. Um, I know that my chair is going to be pulled out for me. I know, and this is one that I mentioned to you, Jonah, when we were prepping this, but I'll share this. So I don't want to think about anything on the date other than what I'll provide help, of course, but he's going to do all the planning. He's going to ask me pertinent questions like, I'll tell him I'm a vegetarian because maybe that's pertinent to where he wants to go eat or something. But I'm also just like, what I don't care. Just like he needs to plan everything and then either pick me up or tell me where I need to be and I'll just be there. And that's it. And if he
Mm-hmm.
makes it complicated for me or asks me to do any level of planning, to me, that's weakness. And you know what I'm saying? And don't ask me to come to him like ever. Like, that's ridiculous. It's just I have to think all day long. And this is not even just about my particular job, you know? It doesn't matter. I just don't want to make any decisions. I want him to take the lead and be the leader. If he can't be the leader in planning a date, he certainly can't be the leader in the relationship. So that would be a bad sign. If he's telling me I'm going to send you 3 restaurants and you pick, that's a bad sign to me because then I have to look at all these menus. I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but it's
Yeah.
any kind of signs of weakness to me is not an alpha. It's not a leader. It's just he's already losing points before I even get there.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because there's a difference. Allison, one of the things Allison talks about is the difference between male focus and attention and female
Mhm.
focus and attention. And it's the analogy of the hunter and the gatherer is a really good way of illustrating
Mhm.
this. So men are by nature very single focused. So it's just all focus, job, 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 job. When I get home, I need 10 or 15 minutes to transition from this focus to
Mhm.
home and wife focus, right? And like
Mhm.
that sometimes takes a little bit. And a lot of times men will develop rituals like they'll sit in their favorite chair and they'll chill for a little bit. They may even turn the TV on for a few minutes and just zone out.
Mhm.
And that's them recalibrating their mind to being home, right?
Yeah.
Um, and whereas women have diffused focus. So it's like the gatherer. So instead of get the deer, hunt the deer, kill the deer, get the skin the deer, cook the like bring the dear home, right? Women are
Uh-huh.
like walking through the gather. So they're walking through the fields. Oh, there's berry bushes over there. There's maybe a snake over there. There's a
Mhm.
red berry over there. Is it edible or not? What do the leaves look like? They're tracking all this stuff. Where's the little toddlers? What other dangers might
Mhm.
there be? So there's like a ton of because of her. And then if you think about a woman in the modern world, like at home, she has to make sure that the doors are closed, the kids can't get out, the stove is
Yes.
off, the kid is, like there's a million things that she has to keep track of. And so she's really built for that instinctively in her mind. But what happens when you put a woman in the workplace? That single focus requires testosterone. Women have a much less supply of testosterone. And
Mhm.
so when they're they're stuck in a testosterone driven single focus route like your job for example, it's
Mhm.
really hard for you and it's exhausting. It's not something you're at all interested in for then you to have to expend more testosterone on a date trying to decide like you just described which
Mhm.
restaurant to go to. Like no,
Yeah.
I'm testosteroned out, right?
Well, my job is very cobweb style, so men are linear thinkers and women are very, complex, cobweb style thinkers. I can't remember the exact term for that. But yeah, at the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is like some guy saying like, what's halfway between this location and that location. First of all, I am the most geographically challenged human being on the face of the earth. I'm lucky I get home at night. But the last thing I want to do is be looking at these maps and saying, like, please don't make me solve this problem for you. just just tell me where to go, you know? So, or any
Right.
kind of question like that that makes it harder for me to get where I need to be. I just want direction. Just tell me what to do. I'm very submissive, you know? Just tell me what to do and what time to show up and I'll be there. And to me that's like a way of unburdening me. And so when I walk into the
Yeah.
situation, I'm already feeling like, ah, this is a breath of fresh air. All I had to do was go spend 3 hours getting ready and change 14 times, which is already that's like a lot for me, right? That's why I don't even go out much on dates because I'm like, this is going to take 3 hours of my time. I already know I'm
Yeah.
going to change 14 times. I'm going to invest money in picking out this outfit and doing all. It's already complex, and now you're making things so much harder for me, right? Because you
Right.
want me to
Right.
make another decision. So I would
Well, and
just
it's funny.
say, no,
It's
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's funny because I think the way that we're taught and brought up today, it's
Hmm.
we're told that that's not really what women want. Like
Hmm.
we're told that, 50-50, meet halfway, like let's
Hmm.
decide together everything. Um
Hmm.
it's funny my one of my a couple weeks ago, it's kind of funny you remind me. I asked this gal out for a
That's
date. She
right,
was getting
Shiva.
off one.
Sorry,
Oh,
Shiva just
that's
said,
right.
yeah, go ahead. I'm
That's right,
listening.
Shiva. Yep. Yep. Women want to be directed and told what to do. Exactly, Shiva. So what's funny is I had met this gal. She was working. She works at a restaurant that I go to frequently, and I literally just texted her, "Hey, what time are you off?" And she was like,
Mhm.
8 o'clock. And I'm like, "Cool. I'm getting a pizza. That I'm going to be at the pizza place. It was like 4 doors down from
Yeah.
where she works, and there's
Okay.
a pizza there. I want you to try. Come on over after
Yeah.
work."
Okay.
Perfect. Done. But it's interesting because on the I guess instinctively, because there's always this emphasis on mutual agreement and trust and everything like that, that a lot of
Right.
times I think maybe men, I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or if it's what, but a lot of times men will shy away from that because they're like, well, I don't know if she's even going to like it. Well, just go for it. Like
Right.
they don't dislike it.
No, I'll just say this, like, if you have that fear that the person you're dating is gonna worry about that, like, maybe, like, you're not vetting the date enough, right? Like, that's why I say by the time I get to a date with man, I already know that everything's gonna be done for me. I don't even have that worry, and maybe I'm being bitchy in my vetting process, but like I said, I'm not even gonna I'm pretty confident by the time
So
I get there, I'm not gonna have those concerns, right?
So this is interesting, and this kind of actually, I want to use what you just said and transition into the idea
Good job,
of
Geeky. DG.
online dating,
Mhm.
um, because yeah, exactly. So hell no, man pays, dead game says,
That's right.
and then uh,
Mm.
no, infinite. That's not beta. That's 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 called taking care. Come on, that's
Yeah.
that's our job. That's our job, infinite. Come on now. Um, but online dating. So it's interesting. One
Mhm.
thing that you just said,
Mhm.
Jen, that really
Mhm.
jumped out at me is that you've already vetted a date before you go on, and I think
Yes.
that comes from the instinct of needing to feel safe
Mhm.
because I think one of the main differences between how men and women swipe, and we're accused of being superficial,
Mhm.
but I think the contrary is more true. That
Mhm.
we're that in the dating app world, women tend to be more superficial. Like they'll swipe if there's a certain type of picture, like you had said, fishing. If you have
If
a
there's a
picture of a
picture of
fish,
you holding up a fish, yeah, it's a swipe left for sure.
but if it's
If
his passion,
I don't eat fish. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not
but
why.
like,
No, I
or
think it's I don't wanna it's a okay, I wanna answer this, okay? Now you brought it up, so you can go and talk about how you swipe, but I wanna answer this. So, it looks gross. A dead fish looks gross, and I'm not just saying this as a vegetarian. I can tell you, ask any woman, women do not like pics of men holding fish up. It just looks gross. You can go fishing all you want, in real life, but we
right.
don't wanna see a dead fish. It's just gross, right? It's not your best look, right? It's like, ugh, you know? I don't know. That's just again, you can ask anyone. Please, some women back me up here. Yes,
So, and
Sheeta, some
I
girls
think
like to fish. I'm not speaking for every woman.
so.
I'm saying
So, what
in
are the
general, women will tell you that is not a good look, right?
so I think the number of men that women swipe left on
Mhm.
is something like 98% of men swipe, 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 swipe
You
for
swipe
the most part.
left on 98%
Left to
of
say women swipe left on 90 to
yeah.
98% of men that pop up, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And I feel like this is the big disconnect because I also know that like women are inundated partially because of that behavior actually are inundated
Mhm.
with thousands and thousands of likes a day. Men
Mhm.
almost never get likes.
Okay.
And I think or much less frequently. And
Okay.
I think part of the reason is because men um correct me if I'm wrong, but men those of you gentlemen listening um, men will be like, okay, you know what? I see that there's, she likes to hike and I'm not a big hiker, but maybe we can find some common ground. I could,
Mhm.
I might be able to get into that. And maybe she's not as intense into it. Maybe
Mhm.
there's, or she could do her hikes and I won't, whatever.
Mhm.
Or like, you know, she's not the most attractive of
Yeah.
all these people I've seen today, but you know
Okay.
what? I also know that when you get to know that photos don't do a person justice, and when you get
Mhm.
to know somebody, oftentimes they'll look more attractive or less attractive depending on their personality. So you don't ever really
Mhm.
know until you meet the person.
So
Um,
I think, but see, I don't think that, I think you're making an assumption about that part because we as women know that men cannot take selfies. That's a given. So we already know that your pictures just are not doing you justice, or at least I feel that way. So I'm not gonna swipe left on somebody just because their picture doesn't like look like that great. And also like I'm a sapio, so I go for the brain. Yes, of course, there's like something physical like attraction needed in some form, but that's not that relevant. Um, yeah. And yeah, so there's, but and then again with the hiking thing, like I don't hike. I'm never gonna go hiking, but I love pictures of guys hiking. I want to see guys that are active because to me it's more important that a guy is like physically strong and can protect me. And so when I see a guy out there doing something active and keeping himself in shape, I'm like, that's great, Good for you. I don't the one thing we do hate, and I know I can speak for women on this, we hate gym pics. Gym pics are the worst. We love that you go to the gym, but do not post gym pics because this is a very psychological thing that I want to explain. This is really important. Okay.
yeah.
So from the female perspective, and this is something I'm like, this is the secret. Okay. I'm sharing with you guys, just this is a tip, hot tip.
Pay
Okay.
attention, everybody.
Pay attention, guys. Okay. I'm gonna tell you something you already know, but needs to be said. Like women love to be the center of attention and they love to be validated constantly and they love the world to revolve around them and they don't want to think or have that image in their mind of you being in a location where there's other hot women everywhere and you're oogling them. So the first instinctual thing they think of when they see a gym pic is you're in that location all the time. It's not even something maybe that conscious that they think, but that's just an image that will flash in their subconscious. So if they see a gym pic, they're already getting those feelings that they shouldn't really be getting. So
A feeling of
secretly.
jealousy of like
Yeah,
other
that's
women are threatening my relationship because there's other women that
exactly.
are more physically in shape and fit and beautiful than me,
And you're
and
posing in front of
that
these
might catch.
women, whatever. So just again, we love that you're in shape and we want you to protect us and all of that, but just keep the gym pics like out of your profile so that you
So
don't
see, this
instinctively
is
bring up
kind of
these
what's
feelings.
interesting to me though is you want a man to go to the gym and be fit, but you don't want to know that he does it or see that he does it.
It's not good to put it right up front in your dating profile, right? So what you want to put in your dating profile is
But
just
what if he's
pictures
just
of you.
but what if he's just trying to say, I take my fitness seriously, I take care of myself so that I can also take care
Mhm.
of you. And
I'm
like
saying
if
that's
that's what he's
great.
trying to say, right? But
Hiking
I mean I guess
pictures,
this is the funny thing to me
whatever, you know?
is that
Mhm.
that women will so quickly prejudge on a series of criterion that if they got to know the guy, maybe he only goes 3 times a week to the gym and he keeps to
Mhm.
himself and he's very quiet and only likes the time, right? So like
Mhm.
it's a snap judgment that you
Mhm.
couldn't possibly know based on that. And I get it. I'm not saying that it's wrong, right or wrong.
Shiva agrees with me. Gym selfies are
No, and
cringe.
I'm not saying that like I'm not saying
Mhm.
necessarily that gym selfies are. I mean, I think gym selfies for a lady
Mhm.
can be cringe too because like
Yeah.
or at a
Oh, yeah,
club
for
with a
sure.
drink with a bunch of other girls and some other guys sitting
Mhm.
around, like all of a sudden I don't feel I'm like this is not the type of person that I can trust if
Mhm.
they're out drinking with their girls every weekend or whatever. Like that's
Right,
the
like,
vibe you
again,
get.
if
So
I see a guy's dating profile and it's full of the guy like, nothing but drinking photos, yeah, and I have no problems with guy drinking, but if that's all it is, of course it's gonna, like, maybe send the signals, like, "Is this all this guy does?" Right? So, it's not that you're judging somebody, it's just you wanna put your best foot forward, and you don't want the person to, like, immediately I'm saying I agree with you. We're swiping left on 99% of your
yeah,
your profiles. So, if
right.
you don't want that to happen, I'm just saying this is what you can do. Like, just
Well,
post hiking photos, post you getting in shape, but avoid the gym photos.
fair, but
You
what's
know?
interesting is I think that because most women like their person, primarily, like you
Mhm,
said, you go for the mind.
mhm,
Most women love their person and stay with their person because of their man for who they are,
mhm,
even if they're like, well, yeah, maybe there's some other people who are objectively more like a 10, like, us like Clark Kent or, just some drop dead gorgeous dude. And like they know that their man isn't that, but they love their man tenderly because that's
right,
that's their man, that's their person, that's the man that they trust and they
mhm,
respect and all of that. And like it makes I think that's where the one of the main fails of the app dating space
yeah,
is what's presented as superficial. And
mhm,
it's like, why did men are the pursuers? So
mhm,
why do we have the instinct to judge on the surface? Is this person attractive or and then we take the first step if we find someone beautiful, right?
mhm,
Um, is because somebody has to take the first step and that superficial is what draws the first step. But then in order for that relationship to deepen, the woman has to let them in, and that comes with like a connection, a relationship, a
mhm,
personality, showing that I'm safe and respectable, right?
right.
So
So,
I think
I
it's
think it's important too, like, what you actually write on your profile for a guy is
yeah.
very, very important, probably more so than when you write as a girl, I would argue, because they don't read our profiles half the time, which is sad, but what I put on my profile, I put actual verbiage that would help the vetting process. Like, I'm looking for someone who can protect me when the grid goes down. I know a liberal's not going to respond very well to that if he reads, right? And I put things like, I'm looking for someone awake, not woke. And that's also like to like shoo away any non-alphas,
Hmm.
right? Again, if they read it, but I think it's important to put things like that on your profile as a man, because I noticed that a
Yeah.
lot of men keep their profiles very minimal, and I know why that is, because when men approach us, they're more like, "Well, what are you looking for in a man?" And it's like, "Don't ask me that kind of question. Be who you are.
Hmm.
Don't change your profile just to suit me." You know,
Right. Right.
put your real self out there, and we read. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really important to be
No,
your
I
whole
agree.
self.
I agree with
Mhm.
that. I think for women, the pictures are more important. For men, the actual profile description is more important. What's
Yeah.
interesting to me, and this is something that um, I I think is underappreciated amongst both men and women. So, like women, so a woman sees the other woman in her group or who are with her as a threat because they're the ones being pursued. If the
Mhm.
knight in shining armor comes to this group of women and sees this other person as more attractive than me, he's going to choose her, and I'm out of luck. So, like, instinctively, that's why women are much more aggressive and vicious with each other than men are.
Well, you got to kind of like define that a little bit because I don't know what you mean by group. Because like I don't hang out with women. I don't have a group. Maybe
Sure, but I mean,
yeah. I
but
don't
you know
go
what
out.
I mean?
But
Like in general, like if you go out with a friend and you're both looking for a man, right?
I don't do that ever. I
Back in
have
the day,
never
you
done
did.
that. Nope, not once ever. That's just not my style.
But
As
you
a matter of
okay?
fact, I have had a girlfriend say she wants to do that with me, and I'll say, I will never take you out looking for a man with me
Okay,
because
let me
I don't want
rephrase
to
it.
go out with girls looking for a man.
Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
Because it's not all. I don't think it's that intentional necessarily, and I'm
Neither
not
has
saying it is.
infinite truth, by the way. Infinite truth
I'm
says
s-
nope,
I'm
or neither.
saying that if
Mhm.
you are open to a relationship and hoping your Prince Charming will come,
Okay.
and so is your friend,
Okay. Right.
and you guys are out for coffee, not thinking about men at all, but
Okay.
then a Prince Charming comes along,
Mhm.
the more beautiful she is, the more threatened you feel. In the sense that you see her as
Mm,
competition in that moment. If you're both interested in that guy, you see her as competition.
I want to say this. I want to explain this because I think there's a big difference between what men think about this and women. So let me clarify this for you, okay? Yes, women are they have those jealousy feelings or whatever, but not in the initial approach so much because first of all, again, I don't go out with girlfriends for this reason that I feel like they're going to mess up my game and I'm going to mess up theirs and I want to be like totally alone if I ever go out so that I can be approached. Okay. But if I'm out, let's say, like you said, in a situation where just some guy comes up, first of all, me and my friends that I do have, we have completely different taste in men. So that's the first thing I thought of when you said that.
Right.
Yeah. Like even we have different tastes in different cultures, in different like looks, the way a guy looks, like everything. Just completely different. So I don't even foresee that like we would both like the same kind of guy.
But like what we see in the culture, like obviously, okay,
Mhm.
we've already established, even just in the initial conversation, that you actually
Mhm.
have an insight into men that's different than
Mhm.
the standard popular
Yeah.
common thing today, right?
Mhm.
So it's not surprising to me that this is a little different for you as well. But in
Uh-huh.
general, the reason why, like, women will lie to each other and they say, "Oh, you're a 10, girl. Oh, you look beautiful," and the girl doesn't. Like, or, "Oh, you handled that situation perfectly," and she was literally
Right.
sabotaging that relationship, right?
Yes,
Like,
that part's true. Yes, that part's true.
and the
Yeah.
reason why is because if another woman, instinctively, if another woman is perceived as more attractive, desirable, or beautiful than them, it's a threat to them. And I'm contrasting
Mhm.
that with, and I'm talking instinctively. Obviously,
Mhm.
culturally, we all have our own different variations, or feel
Mhm.
this to some degree, more or less. Um, but like, it's just an interesting to see, like, historically, instinctively, that's the tendency of women, whereas men,
Mhm.
the reason why jocks all band together on the football team, like it's the band of
Mhm.
brothers, is because as a warrior, historically, men perceive the other men of strength around them as validations of their own strength. I'm
Okay.
man enough to walk with these boys, with these
Mhm.
dudes. We
Okay.
just conquered castles and armies, and we're back here to
Mhm.
announce our victory. I'm walking with the top dog. I am man enough to keep up with the top dog in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yes. Mhm.
instinctively, men see each other as bolstering our value,
Mhm.
whereas women see each other as a threat to their value.
I again, I agree with you that that does happen in my personal situation.
Hmm.
I don't see anyone as a threat to my personal value. 'Cause I value myself, and I don't. I don't let anyone make me feel devalued or less. Not just because like of the way they look or anything superficial like that. It's just I just value myself, you know? So
Hmm. Well, that's
it's just
good.
never gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do see, obviously I watch videos, I see how women interact sometimes, and I'll see a man approach a woman and then another woman kind of step in and say, she's taken, or she has a boyfriend, or she's this, or
Hmm.
trying to be rude or aggressive, whatever. But
Hmm.
that's extremely immature. And it's just this is just
But
kind of
it's
not a woman you're after, right? You don't want to date women like this.
right. But it's a
Right.
sign of what the default instinct is, right? Because if you're dealing with a
Mhm.
woman of that caliber, you're dealing purely with instinct,
I think
right?
women who react like that are women who have extremely low self-esteem. There's something going on inside of them where they don't want to see their friend happy. They don't want to see her like, yeah, of course they're in one end supporting her, saying they support her and they're saying they want her to find her person, but the minute someone approaches her, yeah, they're gonna butt in and try to
Right.
interrupt that. These are mostly like really young and immature girls that do things like this. They don't value themselves.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
but I guess the point is just like from like an instinctive anthropological, like you can see historically how those feelings developed, and like how if the
Mhm.
man is the pursuer, the woman is the prize, and
Mhm.
therefore any other prize that seems in her estimation, it may not be objectively true, but in her estimation
Mhm.
is more of a prize,
Mhm.
you know,
Well, okay, so
that
I'll
can be
I'll
seen as a
I'll
threat.
give some more feedback about this. So, as I was saying earlier, so every woman wants to feel like the world is revolving around her, right? Totally validated, like she's the priority, she's the one, all of the things. So, if she values herself, then she's not going to be putting herself in a situation, any kind of situation that makes her not feel that way, right? And if like I said, I'm a person like I want an alpha. So if I'm in any kind of situation, an alpha is going to come find me. He's going to be barreling through the crowd directly coming up to me. He's not going to be coming up to me and some other person, maybe trying to see what choice he wants to make or be wishy-washy. He's going to be coming straight to me and knows what he wants. And I'm going to feel like the only woman in the room at that moment.
Right. And that's how it should be ultimately. But here's the
Hmm.
question in terms of taking it back to the dating scene.
Hmm.
I mean, the online dating, right? Like,
Yeah.
if that's what women want,
Yeah.
then why
Yeah.
are they swiping left on 98% of men when a number of those men might be
Hmm.
the alpha that swiped right on her, who wants to come pursue her and make her feel like the treasure that she wants to feel like she is,
Well,
right?
my personal answer to that is it's a vetting process. And I can only answer for myself and say that I have
Mm-hmm.
really good instincts and I know immediately if something's not going to work. And I'm not going to waste my time or his time if I see something there's another clip that we had in there that was talking about how women recognize patterns. It's not mistrusting, it's recognizing patterns. And so maybe she saw this pattern before, maybe it's something she already went through before, and she's not gonna put herself through that again because it's like I this is my favorite quote of all time. Life teaches you the same lesson until you learn it.
Mm,
So if I see, this guy pop up and I'm like, "Oh, I already learned that lesson." I'm not doing that. I don't care how cute he is, you know?
mm-hmm.
I don't care if he ticks all the boxes over here, like, I don't need to learn that lesson again. I spent 7
Yeah.
years learning that lesson, you know? And so, yeah, of course he could treat me really well and he could do all these things, but it's like I could already foresee this playing out exactly how I know it's gonna play out. And at this age, I don't feel like I have time to waste, you know, on this really good looking, yeah, check all these boxes guy when I know how the story's gonna end. So, and I can process that rather quickly. And I know it like seems unfair, right, to a lot of guys getting swiped left when they think, hey, I've got all this and that, but we already know.
So one of the criticisms by the black pilled bros, so to speak, right? The Andrew Tates and all these others
Yeah.
who who really rip on women a lot unjustifiably. I think the pendulum swings too hard the other way with these guys a lot of times.
Hmm.
I think they draw our attention. They make a good point in some of their criticisms, but they go too far in their solution. Um,
Yeah.
and but I think one of the things is that the difference between, well, they say that like 95% of the women swipe right on the same 1% of guys.
Hmm.
So they're all going for the
Mhm.
same 1%. And those F boys are the ones ruining marriages for years to come because they're having sex with all these women, the same ones, the same guys are having sex with most of the women. And now the women are driving up their body counts. And this is their criticism, right? And the women are
Mhm.
swiping left on all the good guys that later in their late 30s, they realize they should have wanted all along and they should have been
Mhm.
swiping right on. But the lesson is learned too late. They've already been ran through, and now they've got no value left because all those good men have found a woman and settled down.
Yeah.
And at 38, 40, if a man wants kids, they're not really going to be too interested in
Mhm.
someone like that, right? So
Well, I would be curious to know what they mean by the 1%. I mean, what is that? Like, what does that guy look like on paper? What
the
is that
guy that
guy?
has the perfect pictures, who didn't put any fish in the profile, who doesn't have a car in the profile, who doesn't put a gym pic,
His dog
but
is not
has
licking his
has the
face
nice
and like
suave look. He's fit and trim,
right.
but not showing off his muscles. There's people around him like to show that he's not a loner. He's got some friends, but no
Mhm.
women that are too standing too close to him. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on and on of
Right,
like
right, right, right.
snap judgments from a woman on a profile. And so you get these same guys who've curated their profiles and then just go
Okay.
out and bang, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
and even in public in the clubs, like the guys, whether they're throwing the money around, and I'm not talking about you, obviously, you have a different perspective and
I feel
standards.
attacked. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
but but you know what I'm saying? So like you have this whole
Mhm.
generation of couple generations now of women who are making snap judgments based on superficial profiles when a guy might just be like, I don't know, this is a semi decent photo. I'm not giving it much thought. I just want to get to know somebody and see if there's anything there. And
Mhm.
all these guys who really truly want to start a family are getting forgotten or completely overlooked
Mhm.
until it's too late for those women. And then men are criticized
Yeah.
for getting with a younger woman. I mean, it's like,
I don't have
it
any
is,
criticisms about that. And maybe that's something we should talk about is like age differences and stuff. I mean,
that would be an interesting conversation.
yeah, I mean, I don't have any criticism about that. I mean, I think to each his own, people need to make the decisions they're going to make. But I'm just here to say like, look, if men genuinely feel that okay, they're getting swiped left on because women are critiquing their photos too much, change your photos. It's so easy. Like, I, like, tried to tell guys, like, "Yeah, we don't like photos, group photos. We don't like photos where you cropped out a girl." And I can give you the psychology behind that too. Because you look so fucking happy.
But men will,
She's cropped
men,
out and you're like the most in love you've ever looked. And so psychologically, we're thinking, "Wow, you looked really happy there. What happened?"
yeah.
Women are always thinking about these things, right? We can't help it. It's our
and this is
default
not
mode.
and this is not a criticism. It's just, I'm just reflecting on the differences between men and women. Is
Yes.
because when a man sees a woman with a cropped out guy,
Mhm.
he's just like, oh, seems like an old boyfriend.
Yeah.
She does look really happy and beautiful there. Like, I love that
Mhm.
smile.
Uh-huh.
you know
Well,
like
women
that's
are
it.
overthinking everything. We are
Yeah.
overthinking everything. So, that's why I said the best thing is just, like, keep it simple, just pictures of you, And if you don't have any, just go take some, you know, go take a
So
picture.
I had someone tell me. So I don't. I mean, I have a few dating profiles, but I don't really actively check because I've had a couple
Mhm,
hits. I had actually
mhm,
a really good relationship from one of those that
mhm,
lasted a little while. Wasn't meant to be long term, but it was a beautiful relationship.
mhm.
But in general, like I always have more success in the cold approach in public. Like I'll just strike up a conversation at a
Mhm.
bar, at like a restaurant bar. I don't go to like dive bars, but like a
Right,
restaurant
right, right.
bar,
Mhm.
and or I'll just meet someone somewhere, and that to me, I don't know. I just feel like the dating app is it just doesn't do a good job at giving men who would otherwise have a chance because most
True,
men
yeah.
don't make this superficial cut.
Right.
Um, and I think what's interesting too, I'd love to hear your take on this, is I've heard the criticism 1,000 times that men are so superficial and men are afraid of commitment, those two things.
Mhm.
I, how do you feel about those two things? Do you think those two statements are true? If not, why? If yes, why? I'm put you on the spot a little bit if
Um,
that's okay.
okay. Well, the superficial thing, I mean, I do think that, uh, men's men in general, their priority is probably, like, physical attraction in general, like, that's probably their top priority, I think, but I don't think it's the only thing they look for, which is what we already talked about. I think they
Hmm.
need to feel peaceful, they need to feel all the things we already discussed. So I don't think but I look, are they going to find all of those other things we talked about with somebody that they have no physical attraction for? No, I don't think so. I think that has to be they have to be physically attracted to the person too. If they're looking for like that long-term situation. So
Hmm.
and I don't like the word superficial. It's just something that, it's chemistry. It's
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for a romantic partner, I mean, you wanna be physically attracted to your partner. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and that's why I don't like that word because it's almost like saying it's bad to look for somebody you're physically attracted to. There's nothing wrong with looking for that.
Right.
So, I don't like that. Um, I'm sorry, what was the second part?
The second part
Oh,
was
commitment, commitment.
afraid of the criticism of men is that they're
Mhm.
afraid of commitment. What do you feel about
There are
that?
definitely some men who are afraid of commitment. I've been with men who are afraid of commitment, but it doesn't mean all men are afraid of commitment. And I think there are a lot of men who like put on their profile. There's a lot of these dating apps that'll say, "What are you looking for?" Are you looking for long term, short term, whatever? And there are some people who just check off every single box, and that's fine too because they don't really know. I think it depends on the person, right? When you meet somebody, you might then know what you're really looking for once you meet that person. And so I don't think it's about being afraid of commitment. I think all of us, arguably, most of us maybe, are looking for commitment, but it doesn't mean I'm looking for commitment when I haven't even met the person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking more about like the situation where a couple's been dating for years, they're very serious in their relationship, but the man hasn't put a ring on it yet.
Well, that's because some people don't want to get married. And this I wanna bring up a really important point because this is where people lie, okay? And this is why it's so important to be really upfront with
Hmm.
your expectations in a relationship, and this is where relationships break down, and this is what's happened to me in a relationship where and I will say this is where sometimes men aren't honest about their intentions, because there are maybe, let's say a woman who really wants marriage, okay?
Meyer says, "Damn, those are tough questions, Jonah."
Okay, so let's say, there's a woman who wants marriage, and that's it. She doesn't care who she meets, that's her intention. "I wanna get married."
Yeah.
And she meets a guy, and he's like, "Yep, I'm all in, I'm looking for the same thing you are," whatever, but he's really not. He's okay with he's okay with being in a relationship and being a boyfriend and maybe being engaged forever, but he's really not wanting to get married. So he just kinda said that because he really wanted the girl. That happened to me. And so, yeah, and so would women go after and say, well, he was afraid of commitment. No, he really wasn't afraid of commitment. He was okay committing to you, being your boyfriend, being in a relationship, but he was scared of marriage itself. And so that's when people just
Yeah,
need to be really honest and upfront in the very, very beginning about, you know, what they actually want and are able to do, and just don't lie about it. Just be clear.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though, like dishonesty aside, because obviously dishonesty is a problem in every relationship, right? On
Thank
either
you, Hal.
side.
Sorry, Hal.
Hey,
I love Hal. Thank you.
what's up, Amy? Good to see you. Um, so my understanding of that is this, and I'd love any pushback if you disagree, obviously.
Mm.
Um, so dishonesty aside, because those are just dishonest people. Like that's not
Right.
really, but we're talking
Yeah.
about like sincere people. I
Mhm.
think oftentimes the reason why it seems that a man is afraid of commitment is because a
Mhm.
man takes commitment very seriously.
Okay.
In fact, I think Infinite actually said something very similar to what I'm about to say. Men aren't afraid
Mhm.
of commitment, they're just more picky because when they commit, it's forever. This is it. So, not only that, but um, I know that a lot of times men will hesitate, even if they want to get married and they're
Mhm.
all in on this girl and there's nobody else, nor there will there ever be. When a man says, "Will you marry me?" A good man,
Mhm. Okay.
he's saying, "Come into my house, trust me to protect and provide." And especially if they're a younger couple that wants a family, in
Mhm.
his head, he understands me saying, "Will you marry me?"
Mhm.
means that she's accepting to build a family with me, which means I have to have the financial stability and ability to be able to provide for her. And then, if and when she gets pregnant, to sustain her and the child through the pregnancy and the early years of that child
Mhm.
when she's not able to work. So
Mhm.
the onus, and actually that's where the word ownership comes from, the onus, the obligation of providing is very heavy on a man's heart if he's a good man. And
Yes.
so that's why oftentimes men will hesitate and not ask until they're confident. And oftentimes they would be able to do it, but because of their own insecurity or the expectations that they have placed on themselves, or
Mhm.
they will not ask when perhaps they're capable already. It's an insecurity thing, but it comes from a deep valuing of commitment. And I
Right.
think that's actually, I think men are a lot more committed, like Infinite said, um, and take commitment a lot more seriously than women do. And
Mhm.
I think that's again a survival instinct on the part of the woman. But in the notes that we had shared for this, um, one of the things you had said was a good topic to talk about is why women move on so quickly. And I think it
Mhm.
plays in perfectly with this conversation, or with this point in the conversation. Um, was there a video attached to that point that you wanted to show?
Um,
I don't
I thought
remember.
there was. I thought there was. I'm gonna look real quick. We had so many videos.
As you can tell, and if you've watched any of you who've watched Philosopher King podcast, I'm not much of a production guy. I don't pull up a lot of videos all the time. So poor Jen here put together like 8 to 10 different videos, and I'm just not good enough at all this to bring them up.
It's fine. Don't
So
worry about it.
we're doing our best, but um, let's see.
I don't. Okay. I don't know which one it is.
Oh, but here's a comment. So connect. So I would love for you to talk about that and why you think that is. I think it's connected to the point we just talked about.
Which
But
one?
then, so I would love for you to talk about why women move on faster than men and why that
Okay.
is. And
Mhm.
I think it's connected to what you just talked about commitment. But then another point on, just to kind of have a trajectory,
Mhm.
another point that we go. That was the other point I was going to say that you just
Mhm.
highlighted is the comment, he will stay as long as he loves her. She'll stay as long as she
Well,
feels love.
that's exactly why they move on. So you should play it.
Okay. All right. All right. Here we
All
go.
right.
Wish me luck, guys. We can do this. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
guy loves the girl more. They say relationship only works if a guy loves the girl more. I think I finally understand why. For a man, what he feels matters. For a woman, how he makes her feel matters. He'll stay as long as he loves her. She'll stay as long as she feels loved. Think about that.
Interesting.
Interesting
Um,
and very
yeah,
true.
very interesting.
Mhm. Right. So,
I was chuckling. I
sorry.
was chuckling because it's not the most masculine voice to convey the
But
message. I thought it was
it
funny,
feels very
but it's
genuine,
true.
though. It feels his
It's
voice
true.
feels very genuine. It feels like
It's
almost like
true.
he's crying a little bit, right? So, like, he
It's true.
realizes that maybe I didn't love her enough, and she left,
Well,
you know?
and this kind of goes back to what the comment that I made earlier about how women identify with their feelings, and so they'll
Mhm.
be happy if they feel loved, and a
Mhm.
man identifies with his principles, and his principles are
Mhm. Right.
right.
That's when I first asked you to bring it up because it's a woman needs to feel wanted and loved. That's what she needs to feel. And so when she reaches the point, and I've been married twice, you know, been married for a long time in my life, and I had a long-term relationship. So which was felt like a third marriage, honestly. When you get to that point in a relationship where you don't feel loved and wanted, and I put those like those are very close feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't feel loved anymore, you've already left. And that could be a long time before you actually leave. So, and this is like where separate bedrooms come from and like all these things that happen in marriages, right? But even if it's not in that to that point where you're not actually married, but you're just dating somebody where a woman checks out before she actually checks out. And so that's why when women leave, men think, "Oh my god, this woman, like, we just broke up and she's already dating. I can't believe this. Like, I'm over here like sobbing and crying and my heart is broken and she's dating this bro like 2 days later." And that's because she left you a year ago in her brain and all her friends know about it.
Well, and that's the tragedy too, because
Mhm.
to me, because a man, because he identifies with his principles, will stay true to
Mhm.
his commitment until his
Mhm.
dying breath.
Mhm.
A good man. Obviously, there's bad
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
but
right.
like instinctively, that's a man's tendency is like, I've committed to this
Mhm.
person. It's been a couple weeks since I've wanted to be around this person, but I'm going to
Mhm.
continue to provide whereas a woman, again, I think it's rooted in their desire for safety and security, will go through the motions pretending to still be invested in the relationship while looking for a safe out.
I don't think that's always the case, though. I think that's true, like you said, when it's a good man or something. There's also sometimes where you're with a not so good man, and it's to this man's point, it's very simple. He'll stay as long as he loves her. So you can be in a relationship with an asshole, but he loves you, and if he loves you and he still wants to be with you, he's going to stay. It
Yeah.
could be his lack of options. It could be there's kids involved. It could be so many different things. But if he loves you, he's gonna stay with you and he's gonna keep trying. And is and she's gonna stay um until she doesn't feel that love anymore. Right?
Well, and I've heard a number of men say love is a choice. So like it's not
Hmm.
an emotion, even if I'm feeling turned off or angry or whatever, love is a choice. I committed to this person and that's
Hmm.
my choice. So I'm going to continue to choose every day. Amy says, "I think we can move on faster because we are more connected to the reasons while men end up being clueless why things fell apart and they honestly don't want to know, but are looking for a simplistic bimbo. LOL. Good men can be
I,
so clueless." it's
I
it's
will
true.
agree
A good
that they can definitely be clueless, and even though we've told them many 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 times what the
I guess
reasons are,
I
what's
guess
going on. Yeah. Hmm.
all of us human beings can project. We all do,
Hmm.
right? Like we were talking earlier about how women tend to project, that a man wants somebody who's funny. We don't care. Man wants a man wants a woman who is financially stable. We don't care. Man wants a woman who's X, Y, or Z that are good traits in a man that you guys are drawn to, and we don't care. We want peace. We want someone who respects us. We want someone who trusts us. Those are the biggest three. And I just think it's interesting because I think also men can project. Men say, I committed to this person, and no matter how this rough patch we're going through, we're going to get through it. And we project that onto women, unfortunately, sometimes, because women are like, I don't feel safe here anymore. I don't feel loved anymore. I'm now open to other opportunities.
Well, I think this is a good part for us to talk about some of these really important. So men stay as long as they love her. She stays as long as she feels love. So let's talk about love languages, because you could be loving me all day long, but if I don't feel love because you're not speaking my love language, then we have a huge problem, right? And it's cheesy because it's a book, it was written, but it's so very true that if you're not doing what I need you to do and showing me love in the way I want, like, you can be opening the wallet, right, and trying to say, but I bought you this and I bought you that, and I might be a cheap bastard, and I might say, that doesn't mean anything to me. I hate roses, right? What I really need is affection, and you're just not a very affectionate guy, right? Or something like that. And so that's super important, and I think that's where I know I can speak for women, where we get really frustrated. Is like, I've told you so many times, I really need you to take out the trash. I really need you to do these acts of service because that's what is meaningful to me, and you just refuse to do it, and you just want to say, well, I'll take you to dinner. Well, I'm exhausted because I've had to do all these things for myself. I don't want to go to dinner. If you could just do these things. And so that's when women, I know, just check out, because it's like, these are my love languages and you're refusing to do it. And I mean, I'm sure that's got to be the same for men, right? If you guys are like, well, I need physical touch, quality time, or whatever, and you're like refusing to do all these things, and you think you can make up for it by whatever.
Well, I think what's really important too is, so this Alison Armstrong, she wrote the book called Understanding Women. And what's interesting is that she talks about, like, the trash, for example. And like, she talks about how, like, when a woman, because of how a man operates, like, if he feels respected and trusted, then he rises to the occasion. And he will look for every opportunity. If he feels nagged, if he feels not trusted to take care of things, if he feels constantly like he's being mothered or corrected or chided for every little thing because it's not exactly how she wanted it, type of thing, then he's going to check out, because he's like, okay, I've been showing up for this woman that I love for like so many years, and I love her. And then, like, no matter how much money I bring in for the family, no matter how much I do to support the family, to put food on the table, when I come home, I just need a few minutes of peace for me to transition to being home, or whatever the case is, right? Like, if I'm not being given that time, or I'm not being given the trust to do what needs to be done and whatever else, then it's not worth it anymore. So one of my favorite things is this whole "is it worth it" calculation that every man goes through instinctively. Is it worth it? So, like, at a certain point, going above and beyond or whatever, it's just no longer worth it. And so that's when you see men start to kind of check out in some ways. Amy says, I love people who say, I want communication, yet only hear their version of my words. It's true. Communication is such an art. It is such a challenge, like, with different people. Interesting. So you mentioned the 5 love languages. That's what you're referring to, right?
Right. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
So for anybody who isn't familiar with that, so this was a book that came out, The 5 Love Languages, which are acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. And so basically what that is like, just, there's a little test you can take online if you haven't heard of it, but it's just identifying what are your love languages, and it'll give you like a scale, and usually you have more than one. and then identifying your partners and basically expressing love to them in their language instead of yours. And then
Mm-hmm.
they expressing love
Mm-hmm.
to you in your love language instead of theirs so that you can give and receive love better. And it works. It actually does work. I think it's good.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Because like I know someone who, like, if you tell them that if you thank them and tell them that they're a great guy and
Mhm.
you appreciate them, then their security comes back, their chest puffs up, they feel all good about themselves, they feel respected and valued, right? But
Yeah.
then, like, for me, like, the most thing that makes me feel trusted and respected and loved more than anything else in the world is
Mhm.
if you come sit down next to me on the couch, put your head on my chest or shoulder, and just
Mhm. Yeah.
be with me, quality time. That's it. Like, so it's interesting. It's interesting how different
Mhm.
people are different ways. This is a fun little fact. You know what the most loved profession in all the world is? I mean, that's a big statement, but I think it's pretty true. The
I couldn't
profession
guess.
that people feel most connected to
Hmm.
is your hairdresser. In fact, they
Interesting.
have people will open up and say things to their hairdresser that they don't even feel comfortable telling their therapist. And the
I don't
reason
have a
why,
hairdresser, so literally I
um,
haven't had my hair professionally cut in like 4 years. So.
so it's really interesting why, though, because they're actually the only profession that I know of that actually engage in, with each and
Mhm.
every one of their clients, all 5 love languages simultaneously every single time.
Wow, yeah, that makes
Words of
sense.
affirmation, because they're having good conversation. They're like, "Oh, you look,
Mhm.
their hair's beautiful." It's just part of the
Right,
job.
right.
You compliment the hair, whatever. Quality time. You're sitting in the chair for an hour, hour and a half. Physical
Mhm.
touch. There's a ton of that. Acts of service. They're
Yeah.
putting their talent at your service to make you beautiful. You know, and then receiving
Yeah.
gifts, like they're giving their time and their talent to you. So, anyways, that's interesting. I think
It
that's
mu
kind of
the
kind of
second runner up
interesting.
has to be like a masseuse, which I do I will go to one of those every now and then. It has to be
Yeah,
because it's the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
Hey, well, when you find the right man, he'll double as a masseuse for you, I'm sure.
Oh, it's on the list. Trust me.
That's
It's
right.
on the
That's right.
list. I won't even pull out my ridiculously long list,
That's right.
okay?
That's right. Gentlemen,
Definitely.
that is a valuable skill to cultivate. Just word
Well,
of the
like I
wise,
said,
gentlemen.
we love a man that goes to the gym and stays in shape. Why do you think I post these videos of men chopping wood all the time? I'm like, "Yep, yep, 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 get those arms strong." I got lots of back pain over here.
There you go. There you go. Amy
Yeah.
says, I remember my dad saying to my mom, "Just dumb it down for me, please." And she would type and print like a 10-page letter with just one sentence, "Except you were
Oh my
wrong, and I
gosh.
still love you, babe." That's so funny.
That is so funny. Speaking of
So,
love languages and the like, how important do you think,
good night, Infinite. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
oh, good night, thank you. Dating people in the zodiac signs are? Women ask these questions all the time, and sometimes it annoys men, but it's like a right out of the gate question that a lot of women ask. It's like, "What's your sign?" And
Yeah.
men
See,
give
I mean,
me shit about it
it,
sometimes.
it doesn't bother me. Um, I think it's interesting, kind of being an alternative medicine inclined guy. Like, I think
Mhm.
there's some truth to the signs because when you were born is an indication of what period of the year and what position the sun was when you were
Mhm.
in what phase of your development in the womb. So that's going to
Yeah.
dictate what systems in your body are more developed. So are you a little bit more hot tempered or are you a little more chill? Well, maybe it's because one part of your biochemistry was being developed very strongly when the sun was just such a position, and now that it's over there, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
I think there's a semi-scientific reason why there is validity. I mean, I find it interesting.
Mhm.
I wouldn't make or break a relationship over it. Like, oh no, I won't ever be with a Taurus or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Mhm.
I'm a
Well, it's
Libra, so I'm more balanced, I guess you could say.
right, right, right. Um, so I think it would be a hot tip for guys out there to put, um That's funny. Hell, yeah. Sometimes you're shocked how some signs annoy me. Same, same. Oh my gosh. I just had like some sort of interaction with the Sagittarius, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. But anyway, I digress. So a hot tip: if you do put your sign in your dating profile, that might be an attractor for the ladies because there are so many ladies who that will be a question right out of the gate, and if they know that you are quasi interested in sharing that information, then hey, can't hurt. I mean, it might
There you
hurt
go.
if she hates your sign, but that's going to come out anyway. So you might as well just throw
Might
it
as
out
well
there.
cut him off at the pass.
Right? Might as well just get yourself in the swipe left line. Right?
So there's an older gentleman who I'm fairly close to. He's a good friend of mine here in my city.
Hmm.
He's just a really sweet guy, but he's so funny. He's so eccentric, and he like told me right like within the first few times we hung out, he was like, you're the first Libra man that I've ever been able to tolerate, and I actually like and respect you. He's like, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
I was like, you're
that's
the first
funny.
man to ever talk to me about my sign as having any impact on our relationship at all. Cool.
Yeah, I know, right? Hell's right there with me with these Sages, man. I don't know. I'm saying no offense to all you Sages out there, but I'm sure there's some of you that are wonderful people. I'm a
Sag and
Virgo,
me,
so
yeah, yeah. So
I
dead game,
mean,
this is really interesting. So I've for a while, because of the reasons I just gave, like gestationally, is that how you say it? I don't know. When you're in the womb, right? That period of development was really interesting to me as a potential like remote cause of the signs having validity. What shocked me, so a lot of you guys know a little bit about my story, that like raised super religious, super tight family, exiled and all of this crash and everything, and now here I am, right? Very independent. I don't really have any family around me at all, etc. Rebuilding. What's incredible is my house, when I would my birth chart, the south node is in the fourth house and the north node is in the 10th house. And those two houses, literally the fourth house is tight family, strict religious values. And the south to north node represents the progression of your life through your life. And the end, the north node, is independence from old belief systems, more freedom of thought. And like, so my path and my actual and I only found this out like a couple of years ago. Someone showed me my birth chart and I was like, whoa. And it was actually described my life path for the last 25 years, right? In that one. So there's something to it. I don't know. It's
yep, there's
it's
something
it's
to
pretty
it.
interesting. Yeah.
Hell, to answer your question, I'm a Virgo. She asked
Virgo.
what I am.
Okay.
Virgo,
Yep.
yes.
So
So
Aquarius
yeah.
and Gemini, huh, Amy? All right. There you
Yeah,
go.
Aquarius and Geminis are cool. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
Um, I'm
I was
actually, it's funny you were talking about the faith and things like that. Aren't you proud of us? Like we haven't even got into religion at all. Like religious difference is nothing in this whole
amazing.
podcast. Like I can't believe it. We mentioned like, are we going to talk about this? And we haven't even talked about that this whole time.
Who
But
knows?
maybe we should mention, yeah, yes, yes, dead game. It does. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
so yes
politics.
and no. So just to comment on that dead game. I don't believe that these things should be used to foretell the future, like a horoscope type of thing. How's my day going to go? How's my month going to go? But like the signs are indications of what your natural tendencies are. Obviously, we as people can choose to build virtue or vice on those natural tendencies and either augment the negative tendencies or diminish them, or augment the positive tendencies or diminish them, right? So we have that freedom to improve as people. So I wouldn't call it like a horoscope. I just thought it was interesting that, like, I mean, we see this in scripture too. The wise men from the east followed the stars to get to Jesus' birth. So, I mean, obviously there's something there, you know. I mean, what exactly and how much we can know, is another question. But yeah, anyways, it's interesting.
So
But
yeah, so as far as like and Jonah, I'll ask you as far as like politics and religion and stuff like that, um how important do you think that is um to put up front when you're seeking like in a dating profile or otherwise, or even if you meet somebody in public, whatever, how important do you think that is?
so politics and religion are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
Politics, I think there's very little importance at all. I've known some very staunch Democrats who, in fact, up until we started dating, my fiance of a few years ago was a fairly staunch Democrat. Um, through honest conversation, because she's a truth seeking person, she has a truth seeking heart, and she wasn't exposed to a lot of the truths
Mm-hmm.
of the reality of what was going on the side that she unknowingly supported. She rejected them, rejected that whole thought process, right? So I don't think that if someone calls themselves a liberal or anything like that, I don't consider that a deal breaker until I get to
Mm-hmm.
know them. And if I realize that they're like, yeah, fine, I'm okay that abortion is slaughtering an innocent life in the woman, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to do it myself, but I can't tell anybody else not to. Okay, well, we have a problem because we should
Mm-hmm.
be telling people not to kill. um,
Mm-hmm.
but then in terms of religion, again, I think even if as long as people are sincere, like I feel like I have a lot more in common with a lot of Protestants or a lot of truthers that are more agnostic than I do with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Catholics today because of the state of the Catholic Church. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very traditionally minded Catholic, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that that's where the most truth is found.
Yeah.
And I believe that everyone of good truth seeking mind and heart will eventually make it their way there, but it's not for me to convince them or coerce them
Yeah.
or compel anyone to be there. So I feel like if I meet someone and we do fall in love and we do start a relationship and they're truly seeking the truth and I share with them the reason for my belief and understanding, I would feel like they would at least be open to it, but it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be on any kind of a timeline for me. I don't know. How about you?
I think they're both pretty irrelevant. And I know I joked earlier several times about, oh, I've never dated a liberal, but it's I have, and it's irrelevant. So in like yeah, my ex-husband was Catholic, my ex-boyfriend long term was Catholic, and I've dated people in all different faiths and you know, across the board. And it's never been an issue. I think only one time I ended a relationship over faith differences, and that was after I actually read the entire almost Quran and tried to make a go of it. I really did, but I gave it my best shot. So I really have I'm totally open to different faiths. What I don't like is when somebody puts it in their profile that they have that kind of deal breaker or whatever. Same goes for politics. If they come up right out of the gate and say no Trumpies, no this, no that, I just see that person as like very close minded, and that's a turnoff. You know, even if I agree
Mm-hmm.
with them, even if I agree with them, I just find it like to be very close minded. So in my lifetime, I've been all over the map. I mean, I grew up in a cult and I've been very religious at times. I've been an atheist for a couple of decades and I kind of came back to God, and now I have kind of believe in more of my higher self. And so for me, I'm not going to judge somebody for their faith or their kind of trail along their life of where they've been. And politically too, I voted both ways and now I don't vote. So,
Yeah,
you know,
same. Well,
so I'm
I
not
never
going to judge
voted. I
anybody.
never voted left, but I don't vote anymore.
Yeah, I don't vote either.
Um,
So I'm not going to judge somebody else. Again, I don't want somebody closed-minded. It's all about being open-minded and
yeah,
accepting. Yeah.
yeah. Amy says if a person is alt, either left or right, so a fanatic basically, it will make no difference because they aren't going to get a second date. See, I'm close
Hmm.
minded too. Dead Game says the only way to really pin it, I'd have a rough time with a modern liberal.
Hmm.
True, true. Um, Yeah, and again, I mean that kind of another way of saying what Amy said there about if you're an extremist either way, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying
um,
in my profile. I said, yeah, I'm looking for somebody awake, not woke, which kind of, if they read it, they're not
yeah.
gonna pursue me, right? If I use the word like that,
Well, and I
that's the
really
point.
took to heart years ago because I was very passionate in the political space
Hmm.
5 to 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
Owen Benjamin was actually the one who said it. Now I don't. I mean, I
Mm.
love Owen Benjamin. I don't love a lot of the things he says as well, but I think he's got a lot of really good takes on things.
Yeah.
And one of the things he says is that, like, if any man allow a difference of opinion in the terms of politics or religion, um, get in the way of loving the person in front of you and being present to the person in front of
Yeah.
you, is anyone who allows those to get in the way is a fool.
True.
And I couldn't agree more. Especially
100%.
Jen,
Hmm.
like your story that you just shared. I have a similar story of wandering here and hither and yon, as they say, right?
Right. Hmm.
And like anyone who's had that experience of truly seeking what's true
Yeah.
and trying to understand and sift through and being open to explore in order to find the truth,
Hmm.
you understand that everybody has their own walk, everybody has a different place, and they might come around to
Hmm.
where you're at. You might end up with, like, who knows, but like the important thing I think that we're kind of both getting at in a sense, or that our experience has led us to appreciate, is that you can never really judge, and as long as the person's heart is sincerely seeking truth, it can
Hmm.
work, you know.
It could work. It could work. Yeah, 100%. We have to respect your person and respect their path and their journey. This journey is a very alone journey. It's like two people on an alone journey coming together and just having mutual respect for each other's journey, right? That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I've had friends who have sought divorce over political differences. And of course, I have family members who don't talk to me because of my beliefs, which I think is insane, but I know that happens in a lot of families now and over simple politics or whatever. And it's just crazy to me. And I think it's just very close-minded. And so just at a baseline, I mean, even like for young people out there dating, I would say, because I know it's a very strong culture out there of young people just who are very outspoken about their beliefs and stuff. I would say, you're going to change your mind like a lot in your life. Your your views are going to change. And if you're looking for a long-term partner now, um you just got to be ready for the fact that your partner's views are going to change too, and they might not change with you or in your timeline. So you
Hmm.
gotta be really careful, right? And if you're gonna be really adamant about your views and your partner's right there with you in your views now, that likely will not be the case throughout your partnership or marriage, you know?
I mean, you could start a cult and just control everything they think, say, and do, you know?
You could.
Just kidding.
But to
It
your point,
works, allegedly.
you brought up
Amy
something
says,
else.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, go ahead. Bring up
No, I
Amy's
was going
point.
to say, Amy says she's stealing your awake, not woke
Thank
for
you,
her dating
Amy. Maybe I
profile.
should share my entire dating profile with you, maybe. I actually kinda like it.
You should share it with everybody right now. Share your
No,
screen. I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
I won't.
I'm just kidding. I'm not. I wouldn't do.
Not saying
I
I
wouldn't
didn't
do.
think about it, but
I wouldn't do that to you. Amy says the thing is, when I was younger, I could fall in love with somebody way different than me. Now I prefer similarity. I really do. Makes the core of
Mhm.
that relationship more solid. It's true.
It's a good point.
And and would you say, Amy, that it's more important to have a similarity of values, even if the
Mhm.
expression might be different?
I will speak to that too, because I'll bring up to your point about abortion, what you're talking about, Jonah, because to me, this is gonna sound weird, but to me, abortion is not about religion and it's not about politics. It's about morals. So
100%.
to me, like I would never have an abortion, right? Ever. And I could say that when I was an atheist. I could say that now. I could say that my entire life. I could never, ever, ever do that. And it's like, and I mean, I can't imagine. And I don't care the state of the fetus. I don't care if I was raped. I don't care. To me, there is no exception. That's just my
Right.
personal belief. I'm not judging other people. I'm in no way, shape, or form. But to me, that's my own morals. And so when I look for a partner, like obviously my partner would need to know that, right? I can't get pregnant, you know. But I'm saying I'm reflecting on my younger self in the dating world. My partner would need to know that if I got pregnant, like, hey, this is where I stand morally. It has nothing
This
to
is
do
for
with
keeps.
my age.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm
Yep.
glad you say that because for me, that's one of my biggest frustrations. And you've probably seen my frustration
Right.
in other like in similar topics. But
Mhm.
because my stance, I would die on the hill of abortion being murder and evil,
Mhm.
and nobody should
Mhm.
do it, and there should be capital,
Yeah.
like maybe not capital
Mhm.
punishment for someone who does it, but there should be no scenario where it's allowed legally at all.
Mhm.
And I would die on that hill primarily from a philosophical humanitarian standpoint, from a human standpoint, as a man,
Mhm.
from just moral theology. I mean, moral
Mhm.
philosophy. But the frustration, which I think has been visible on different podcasts, is when I'm making an argument philosophically, but because people know that I'm a Catholic
Mhm.
or a Christian, they're like, oh, you can't force your religion on others. I'm like, where did religion come into this question? We're talking about human DNA and the moment that it has its own DNA and its own life force.
Mhm.
Like, that
Yeah.
really bothers me.
Mm.
But yeah, so like to your point, it is a philosophical thing that all human beings can and should stand behind. Now that being said, I don't I don't judge at all. Sorry, I just had a beep from my computer. I thought for a second it was dying. The battery was dying. Um, I don't
Uh-huh.
I don't judge at all a woman who was in a vulnerable place, didn't feel like she had another option, was trying to look for another way out, and ended up having the abortion because she didn't know what else to do. I know someone and care deeply about someone who that happened to, and
Mhm.
um, she was a good friend of my sister. And when I visited my sister, they were roommates, and I heard
Mhm.
from her bedroom in the middle of the night her waking up wailing and calling out her daughter's
Mhm.
name. This was 6, 7 years after the fact, right?
Yep.
So I know how much it hurt her, not just the baby who's not with us
Right.
anymore, but herself as well.
Right.
Um, so, anyways, uh, for everybody listening, there's a so okay, there's a criticism that's valid about the pro-life movement in the States. I know we're going on a little bit of tangent, Jen. Bear with me.
Sorry,
Um,
it's my fault. It's my fault.
no, it's okay. It's okay. So the pro-life movement, one of the main criticisms is, okay, you push and encourage all these women to keep their babies, but you don't lift a finger to help them with the difficult
Mhm.
economic, even just a practical economic fallout if they do keep the baby. Obviously, there's women's centers and all these other things. There are a lot of resources out there, so it's not a foolproof. It's not a very strong
Mhm.
argument, but it is true that there are a lot of people who don't help. There's a charity that I love. It's called Let Them Live. So I think it's letthemlive.com. It might be .org, but if you search Let
Mhm.
Them Live, they sponsor women who are feeling pressure to have an abortion but don't would like to find another way, and they get donors to pledge support. So I have two little babies that I've sponsored. Uncle Jer, you can call me. Georgia was born about 11 months ago, and then the other baby that I sponsored hasn't been named yet, but he should be born in the next couple months here. But it's just like a monthly subscription, basically. But then you get a Christmas card, you get an ultrasound, you get updates of how the baby's doing. So like you're there emotionally from a distance, supporting this woman and accompanying her in her pregnancy. But also she has a list of names of people who are helping her monetarily, supporting her out of their own pockets, telling her you're not alone. We're going to get you through this. Be there. Just think about the baby. Don't think about anything else. We all as a community are going to take care of you and make sure you're okay. So I love that. So look it up. Let Them Live. They do amazing
Mhm.
work. Anyway, so I had to do that plug because they mean a lot to me. So
No, that's really great. And again, I'm not judging anyone. I have dear friends who've been in suffered terrible rapes and situations that I won't get into here, but and I don't judge their decisions whatsoever. I was just expressing my own feelings and how I feel that it's a moral decision. And because
yeah,
I don't have a faith and I don't have a political affiliation. It's just a that's just something I feel. But again, when you're talking about dating someone, um, these are things that you have to communicate. Obviously, especially if you're
yep,
going to be romantic with someone, like you have to talk about these things because these are life changing things that could happen to you, and these things have to be said, right? So, yeah, really important conversations.
yep.
Talk about a
Agreed.
deep dive. We're going to have a deep dive tonight. We're ending on a deep dive.
That's right. Yeah,
Deep dive
yeah.
conversation. Yep. So,
Um, so no, all really great points and really great reflections.
mhm.
Um, any other, as we kind of start to land the plane here, any other thoughts, kind of final thoughts or reflections for the people that you'd like to share? And in the meantime, while we're both giving our final reflections, folks, if you guys have any final questions or thoughts that you'd like to drop in the chat's been awesome this evening. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you so
But
much, guys.
also, please feel free to chime in if there's something burning that you'd like to ask for Jen's opinion on, or perhaps mine, that or both. Please don't hesitate. But any final
Um,
thoughts or anything?
let's see. DG, yes, you are right.
Yeah,
Yes,
there
you're
should
absolutely
be
right, DG.
resources available regardless. Exactly.
Um, I don't know if you want to play the "What Do You Want" clip just to lighten the mood now after all that heaviness. I'm gonna make you
Ah.
play at least one more of my clips, Jonah.
All right, all right, all right. Here we
One of
go.
the best movies ever of all time. All right, go for it. And yes, I've read like 23 of his books, but go ahead.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What
It's...
do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
I have to go.
There you go.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I guess so. Just my closing points would be like, yes, I know that we women are confusing as hell, and I don't think you can see us. You got to put us back up there.
Oh, we got you. I can see us
Oh,
from here.
you can see us. Oh well, I can't see us. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, now it just went away.
Just as live
There we go.
preview. I
Now we're
don't know.
back.
There we go. Yeah, I know we're confusing, and I know that. Oh yes, yes. How about this
Okay,
one?
so
Maybe
Amy
it's a good
says,
one.
I want to know if you both truly believe every woman should be married and why.
I can answer that.
You first. You
Okay,
first.
I would
You first.
love to answer this. I actually made a post about marriage the other day and contracts and stuff. I'm actually opposed to marriage. Um, because and I shouldn't say like across the board, like if somebody wants to get married, go get married. But I think that entering a contract with the government is a three-way that I have absolutely zero interest in doing. And I think people need to really think about that before they do it. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want to do that, not just because statistically marriage like fails, but entering a contract with the government is very risky. And I'll give you just one reason without completely diving into this. Like, you know, I marry someone here in Massachusetts that I just moved to, right? There's a set of laws that Massachusetts governs this contract, and then we get married, and then we hop states or countries. That's a whole other issue. And then we decide to get divorced, and then I am bound by the laws of that state in that divorce. This could be a non-community property state, and then we go to a community property state. Everything's changed. I don't even know what's happening. I mean, there's just so many legalities that go into that. And I know I'm giving you my lawyer answer, but it's just a terrible idea. I mean, and even if we continue to live in Massachusetts, like Massachusetts law can change. And so you're just entering again a contract with the government, and I personally don't like the government like in my business. So again, yeah, you're asking like, do they still recognize common law? It depends on the state, and
They
so
say they do, but in practice, they don't really.
in
Right? Would you
practice,
agree with that?
no. In practice, no. Most states, no. And so, yeah, yeah. There's just so many. So really, the only real benefit for getting married, and this is like outside of like religiously, yeah, I see whatever you have to get married to whatever. But from a legal standpoint, is medical benefits. But now you really don't need to do that anymore because most insurance companies recognize a partner. So I'm not going to
Well,
sign a contract with
yeah.
somebody just for medical benefits, even if it does give me medical benefits. Do I really want to do this just for medical benefits? So for me, sorry, DG, I know lots of legalese. Okay, I'll wrap it up. But for me, like if I were to, I'm not saying I would never do it. Like, look, if I meet the love of my life and he's like, no, this is really important to me and my family, except whatever, like, fine, whatever. But I would probably want more of a ceremonial marriage rather than like a paperwork marriage. Again, I'm not saying I still wouldn't do it. If I want a guy to take the lead and I would submit to what he wanted, but I'm just
If
saying from
that's
a
what he
legal
was leading, right?
standpoint, and
Yeah.
yes, tax purposes too, DG, but taxes are voluntary. Don't even get me going on the legalese to that shit. That's for another
There we go.
episode.
Had a girl.
Another episode. All right. So that's it. That's it. That's it. I'll stop with the legalese, but that's my answer. Hell, it's a great question. I'm glad you asked it.
Great,
But yeah,
great question, Amy.
That's how I feel about marriage.
Yeah, and I would agree in the sense that involving the state in that three-way contract as it is today is not at all how it should be. And it just opens the family to liability when the whole point of the the public contract commitment, it should be just a two-party contract, publicly witnessed, in order to strengthen that bond and obligation, which obviously today, with the number of divorces we have, all because of the modern marriage, it's all like you were saying with the third party, the state involved, it becomes the incentive to stay together is no longer there. In fact, oftentimes it incentivizes the woman to leave because she'll get child support. And that's why a lot of women initiate divorce, is because they have all the advantages of divorce. So it actually doesn't encourage the family to stay together anymore. But the whole point of marriage contract, historically and religiously, but historically, is because you need a stable home for the most healthy experience for a child. So you need that solidity of the family. And so the contract is to be an aid to, and like almost like to ensure or to make more probable anyways, the stability of that smallest building block of our family, of our society, the nuclear family, right? So, but when you bring the state in and all this maritime law and all this other stuff, it's just a disaster. And so I don't think I'll ever do it again. I'm sure, Jen, you're surprised to hear this.
I am surprised to hear that. Yeah.
How I think, and this is what I would recommend everybody who's thinking of getting married, because of the involvement of the state in this draconian totalitarian culture that we live, I would recommend setting up a trust, putting all of your assets in the trust together, being both trustees, and having very clear terms of when one trustee wants to leave the trust because they want to go to another partner, whatever else, or if one is abusive, they lose their trustee status if they're physically abusive. Like, so you can put different protections of the trust, but the trust is then something that's stable, that has the tax benefits for each individual because it's taxed as its own, and the assets can't leave that trust. They're for the kids, any offspring, any children, the household. That trust takes care of it. So if I get married again, I imagine I'll do it via trust in some way. I will not be involving the state in any way, shape, or form. So I agree with you 100% there, Jen. So
Great. I am surprised, and I'm awesome. That's awesome. That's a great idea of the trust. That's great. I like that.
all right.
Good,
I think
yeah.
trust law is the way to go. That is
Mhm.
solve so many of our woes as a culture today. Is trust
Yes,
law.
it's true. It's kind of the only way to, like, if you can't beat them, join them. Kind of, if you have to be in the system and work the system, use trust law. That's for sure. I agree.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
I love it. Dead Games, the threesome we won't like with the state.
No, no
He
threesomes with the
says.
government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Dead Game says, I concur. That's why the two stepping up do it voluntarily because they want to. The only paper worth having is locking it in for the child. Exactly, the trust.
Mhm.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And, for those of you end times inclined or with an eye on things that are happening that seem like global currency, mark of the beast type stuff, I think a trust is the only way around that. That's my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong. But like if I have to show an ID, a digital ID, or scan my hand in order to pay for my groceries
Mm.
because I'm doing it for myself, but if I'm a trustee of a trust, I don't have a biometric because I'm not acting for myself. I'm acting on behalf of the beneficiaries. So I imagine they'll keep something in place for that because most of the wealthy of this world, the highest of the elites, have trustees to look over their assets for their offspring and for their estates. And those trustees are not transacting on their own behalf. So I would imagine that they're going to keep mechanisms in place for along those lines. So that's what I've kind of got my sights on. So I don't know. Any final questions or final thoughts?
All right. I'll keep an eye out to see if there's any more, but my thoughts are just, stay thirsty, my friends. No, stay strong out there. I know the swipe game is challenging. It's challenging for all of us. It sucks for all of us, but hell, um, yeah,
Amy
we're so
says, "So
happy you're
happy
here.
yeah." Amy says, "So happy I stumbled upon this stream tonight. Hugs, bees both.
Hugs be
Hugsy
to
both.
you.
Hugsy back to y'all.
We love you.
Love
And
it.
yeah, thank
Love
you
it.
all for the comments. But yeah, the swipe game is like it's so challenging. That's why we leave and come back and leave and come back. But it's the world we live in. And hey, I mean, I try to help you guys out with like the no fish stuff and all that stuff. So I don't know. Give it your best shot. Hey, if you want to like go in my DMs, I'm happy to like clean up your dating profiles for you too. That's cool. Extra bonus service. Just throwing
There
that
you
at you.
go. There you go.
That's it.
So hit her up at BlueMontauk at
Exactly.
BlueMontauk. Service offered. Probably some acceptors out there. So, all right. So you'll help me with mine after this.
I'm
I'm just kidding.
absolutely going to help you with yours.
Needed. No, I was kidding. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. Jen, thank you for once again being such a delightful presence and
Oh,
conversation
thank you.
on this
Thanks for
podcast.
having me.
I truly appreciate you. And
Thank you.
look forward to the next time.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody.